Titusville 246, 214, 1065, 22 Delta, area South D. Leon and Zephyr, South D. Leon and Zephyr.
51.
The caller advised that a male was arguing with a female and then pushed her down into the road in front of a vehicle. Female had pink hair, black female, male was a black male wearing a jacket. Time lapse 1 to 2 minutes before they called it in.
214 to 246. Go ahead. I guess she's advising that this male ran behind some houses in the next street south of Gibson, which I think is W.C. Stafford.
It's Kenilworth.
Should be a black man with dreadlocks, blue jeans, and a black jacket.
Officers on scene had confirmation of the name of the suspect at 7:06 p.m. Just seconds after that, we checked out with the first person matching the description. He was detained and released.
227 times, well, show me 51 to the 22D.
10-4.
227 times, well, 1097 area.
1909.
At 7:10 p.m., we had a second male stopped at the corner of De Leon Avenue and Zephyr Lane. Officer Josh Payne attempted to stop a subject later identified as James Lowry on Craig Avenue, just south of Queen Street. At the time, James Lowry was wearing blue jeans, black jacket, and had dreadlocks tied up over his head.
215 to 227. If you haven't found that gentleman, we hear some screaming from maybe 909 if you can head down this way. I got a guy over here on Stop pursuit.
Stop pursuit.
Westbound on Queen. Westbound, black male, black jacket, jeans. On Gale. Stop running. Stop reaching your pocket. Drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Get down. Get down. The ladder. Get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. Hey, he's running. He's running. Shot fired. Shot fired.
Hey, we're good. Calm down. Hey, listen, calm down. Calm down. Look out. Hey, come here. Listen to me. Get lethal cover. Payne, get lethal cover on this male right now. What do you want? Get lethal cover on this guy. You're good. Hey, listen, I need you to focus right now, okay, brother? Payne, focus.
I got him. I got you.
Payne, focus for me, okay? Stand by for 1 second, please.
You're good. You're good. Hey, holster. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with 227. We're at Gale. The address on Gale is 1520. Roll medical for the suspect. Hey. Stay with me. 10-4. Hey, get to him right now. Get to him.
Yeah.
On here. Hey, grab your medical gear. Grab your medical gear and grab gloves. We're good. Breathe. 1520 Gale. 1520 Gale.
Mr. James Lowry was pronounced deceased at the scene. The medical examiner later determined the cause of death was due to a gunshot wound to the head. Officer Josh Payne has been with the Titusville Police Department since July 6, 2020. During that time, Officer Payne has handled 4,152 calls for service. He has taken 224 police reports, has had 783 traffic stops, 79 arrests, and only 7 use of force reports. At the point the officer first observed James Lowry, he did have the legal right to stop and detain him for identification purposes. Just prior to Officer Payne stopping Lowry, 2 other individuals were stopped, provided proper identification, and were immediately released. During the foot pursuit, Officer Payne attempted to stop Lowry using a taser numerous times. When Lowry was reaching into his pockets, it clearly raised the officer's threat concerns, which caused him to draw his firearm. While the investigation determined that Lowry was not involved in the initial domestic violence call, it appears that he aggressively resisted arrest because of the amount of drugs on his person, which could have resulted in significant charges against him. At the conclusion of our internal affairs investigation, we have found Officer Josh Payne was not justified in the use of deadly force on Mr. James Lowry. Officer Payne resigned his position as a police officer on June 1st, 2022, the day he was charged with manslaughter by the State Attorney's Office. In conclusion, now that the FDLE investigation and our internal affairs investigation are both complete, we will be able to release all public records. Officer Josh Payne was found to have violated several Department General orders, to include unnecessary use of deadly force. So how did this happen? First, during the foot pursuit, Officer Payne deployed his department-issued taser 5 separate times and over 45 seconds in an attempt to stop Mr. Lowry from fleeing. Our training specifically details that if a technique does not give the desired result, then we must change our response to that resistance. Second, we believe that Officer Payne was alerted to Mr. Lowry first by reaching into his pocket and then by pulling an item out. Officer Payne's voice went up an octave, stating, "Drop it," 3 separate times. Officer Payne then drew his firearm, holding it in his left hand, while still holding and activating his taser with his right hand. Although Officer Payne's decision to draw his firearm based on Mr. Lowry's actions was sound, our training specifically addresses transitioning from one tool to another. At no time do we train our officers to operate both taser and a firearm at the same time. Lastly, Mr. Lowry had dreadlocks and was wearing blue jeans and a black jacket, the exact description of the domestic violence suspect just 15 minutes prior and only 700 feet away. Officer Payne had a legal right to detain Mr. Lowry and gave him a lawful order to stop. Mr. Lowry's decision to run away from Officer Payne and physically resist his lawful orders to stop also contributed to this incident. Being a police officer is a difficult job, and it gets exponentially harder when a subject's actions contribute to a situation becoming tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. Officer Payne's actions and verbalizations during the foot pursuit, brief struggle with Mr. Lowry, and post-shot being fired indicate to us that he did not respond to this incident as we train our officers. Furthermore, when looking at the totality of these circumstances, we believe that Officer Payne did not intend for his firearm to be discharged, which is also a severe violation of the policies covering firearm safety rules. We remain committed to providing the best possible training for our officers and to continue to prepare them for the high-stress situations that face police officers each and every day. It is essential for our success to have a valued relationship with our Titusville community, and we will continue to demonstrate the highest level of transparency. On behalf of the men and women of the Titusville Police Department, we extend our thoughts to the family and friends of James Lowry, as we all are devastated at this tragic event.